I'm Josh.
And I'm Jen. Welcome to the Gospel Shape Family Podcast.
Each episode brings biblical wisdom and practical conversations on parenting, marriage, and family. And we discuss how to disciple the next generation with a biblical worldview.
Whether you're raising children, shepherding a church, or longing to build a legacy of faith in your home, this podcast is for you.
Join us as we explore how to shape hearts, homes, and churches around the gospel, one conversation at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gospel Shape Family Podcast.
Hey.
How's your week going?
I would say good. It's cool here. We're rolling with fall.
Fall's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm loving this time of year.
It's good. We just had a big gathering with our friends from church, our big small group thing. A big small group. That's an oxymoron to say. But it was so much fun. It just feels like fall now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of kicks off fall for us.
It's great. Yeah. So we're in the thick of it. Well, today we're talking about navigating screens in your home. And we'll share a little bit about what we do in our home and just kind of all that stuff. But yeah. All right. Here's a question for you, Josh. How many hours per day do you think that kids are spending on screens on average? Just big picture. Think in America, average kid that you see.
I think we underestimate how much time kids spend on screen. We all know it's a lot, but I think the numbers are going to shock people. Why don't you tell us?
Okay. Well, according to the most recent research, the average child in America spends around 9 hours per day looking at a screen. So this includes...
Is that kids or teens?
I think both. I think it's both. On average, well, kids, I'm just reading the stats here. On the average, kids spend around 7 hours per day. For teenagers, it's around 9 hours per day. So that equates to between 106 and 136 days of media that children consume per year, per child. So it's about a third of their life per year just on screens.
That's a crazy amount of time.
It's an insane number. And I can't even imagine that. I remember being a kid and we just had basic TV to watch. And it was ooh, after school TV, but
turn the dial. Just
the landscape, right? The landscape of how we do everything is screen-based, media-based, even at school, right? So we are definitely, as parents in this generation, needing to tackle the topic of what do we do with all these flashing lights and screens in front of our kids? That's, literally almost 20%.
And we didn't really grow up with the kind of technology in the home that we have now. I still remember when we got our first desktop computer. Yeah. I was in high school.
Oh, in high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were probably, I remember, and then I didn't have an email address till college.
Yeah.
We would email because it was so novel at the time. Yeah. Yes. And that was fun. Of course.
Go ahead.
I didn't get my first cell phone, which the old flip phone, and until I had my first full-time pastoral job.
Way before me.
And it was wow, this is... I remember the day of pagers.
We had pagers.
For my job, as a pastor, I'd be on call if there was a counseling need. And it's so, for our parents, it was you'd get the Sunday paper to look at the TV guide to see what was on during the week. Just a different era back then. And even video games. I remember getting the Atari for Christmas as a kind of grade school age kid, and we still have my old Atari.
Yeah, the kids break it out every now and then.
It works.
They love it.
And it's kind of a novelty. You got all these. We got a big, huge box of games, and you pull it out, and it's so it's basically stick figures moving around the screen, and it's it's fun. All ages can play.
Yeah.
But it's not it's funny. My kids will play that. Our kids will play that for, a few hours. And they're just kind of
They get bored
and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And that was us too as kids. We just weren't fixated to the screen, even though we had those kinds of things in our life as kids. Today, though, a whole lot different.
Absolutely different.
We all know media is influential, but I want you to hear this quote by George Barna. If you're not, I'm assuming you're familiar with George, but George is probably the premier researcher in the Christian kind of Christian world. And this is what George said based on some of his research. He said, the most significant influence on the development of a worldview in America today is what we absorb from the media. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then that says to me as a parent or a grandparent or somebody who cares about the development of the worldview of children that I've got to pay attention to what media are investing in those children's minds and heart. And I think it's really critical for us to see media with our children as a form of digital discipleship, because that's really what it is, meaning that we got to be super intentional about, you know, what our kids are watching, what they're listening to, what they're allowing into their minds and into their hearts. And we have to have some kind of strategy in our home that includes not only the protection of children, because there's so much garbage that is out there. It's crazy what's even in like commercials, you know?
Oh my. Yes, commercials.
Yeah. But just
mute if you have the TV on.
Yeah, just protecting them from the deluge of unbiblical views and unrighteous behaviors in media, as well as intentionally utilizing it to help our children develop a biblical worldview, because there is some really great stuff too.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously that takes a little bit more work to find it. I want to kind of compare, though, digital things, digital media. I think it's useful. They can be useful like guns. They can be useful like painkillers and fire and razor sharp knives and tons of other things that can ruin our life.
Dangerous things.
And I'm grateful for those things. I use a knife every day. I've got one in my pocket right now.
That's true. Who does carry a knife?
We live on a farm. Guns are literally a normal part of our activity. We literally have we've caught 8 raccoons this summer in one of
I actually caught one of them in a little
one of our barns. And you know, I like to kill anything, so we try to take them on a little journey and let them go. But I would never I would never just hand a child a gun or a razor sharp knife or some of those other things that could seriously harm them without the proper training. Now, our 3 boys have all gone through hunter training, gun training, and they all do have their own guns, and I'm comfortable with them.
I trust them with the guns. We're very safe.
Traipsing out all over our property, into the woods, all over hunting, and many times they'll come back with things, you know, that they've shot that we end up eating and
you never know what they'll come back with.
Yeah, but they need that proper training, and we're constantly talking to them about cautiousness and safety and utilize, those are tools, and screens, the internet, media usage is really the same thing in digital format, and we want to help our children, our grandchildren to navigate that well, so that they don't have. It's not physical scars, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's mental kinds of things that start to, to impact the way they think and view the world and truth. And so we're going to talk about that today. It'll be super helpful, just practical ways in our home. So Jen, do you kind of want to start with some things we can do to navigate in our home and what we've done that we found really helpful with our kids?
Yeah, so we've been really intentional about just asking some questions, guiding questions as we're making decisions and as we're, evaluating media, screens, and technology in our home. So questions that we ask ourselves, some questions that you could ask yourself as a listener are the questions. So what purpose does this technology serve in our child's life? So whether you're looking at a cell phone use or TV or video games or any of those things, what's the purpose? And then secondly, what is my child gaining from using this? So if the clear answer is my child's gaining nothing, then maybe you're at a net positive by just removing that item. But the question is, what are you gaining? Because sometimes we are gaining, right? We're gaining some educational knowledge by using technology to teach and to learn, or we're using it to learn music, or we're, sometimes just entertainment. But what is my child gaining?
And how much entertainment do you need? Like how much is how much is enough?
Yeah. And And in what way are we gaining entertaining? What pitfalls are we protecting our child against as a result of saying yes? So if we're saying yes to a cell phone, if we're saying yes to an iPad, if we're saying yes to computer use, if we're saying yes to movies or TV shows, or, in any facet, how are we protecting our children? How are we making sure that the things that they consume are pleasing? Are they good? Are they true? Are they beautiful? Are they praiseworthy? And so asking that question, and then just reminding that the media that we intake should serve us. It should not enslave us. It should be something that we use to help build relationships, something that we use within our home to build one another up. And that it is something that helps us become more like Christ instead of less like Christ. And it's easy to find things that will, make us less like Christ. But so we just...
Those are some of the kinds of things we would ask ourselves.
Yeah, those are the things we would ask ourselves, and then use that to, use those questions to evaluate.
Yeah, yep. One of the things we do purposely with our family is we limit our screen usage pretty radically. And that's loosened as our kids have gotten into the teen, young adult years. But we felt like as everyone as young parents, you're kind of trying to figure out what's the balance, how much time is, good versus not. And we found with our kids that conversation increased a lot when screens were not just a dominant presence in their life and in our home, and that their imagination, their creativity, their enjoyment of the day also increased when screens were just not this big time presence. And that it we found with our kids and with ourselves, there's a lot of wasted time that occurs through screens. And so just helping, kids don't know. If we had a kitchen full of candy, they'd want to eat it all day long every day. And so we have to put some of those limitations on them for their own good. And we found that, those were the outcomes. And then we don't end up living vicariously through a screen, through somebody else.
Right.
Which I enjoy some of that, watching other people's adventures. I want to live those myself.
Yep.
I want the kind
Same.
of life that is super adventurous and it could be on a screen. So that's part of why we bought a farm. We've lived here for now 4 years, and our days are literally like they're like a reality TV show, and they're adventurous. I mean, they are.
Driving home. Where was I coming home from? Oh, I had to run to the store with the kids yesterday, and we pulled in. And whenever we drive in, our daughter Kate, who's 14, she was like, she does this when we drive in. She goes, because it's like so. She'll say, "It's so pretty here." And Asher said in response to that, he said, "Our life should be a TV show." He's like, "It's never dull." He's like, "It'd be so great."
But that was an intentional decision to replace some screens.
Yeah.
So, if you, we have a fun little saying I've thought in change management, and this is true of screens. If you're going to take a bone from a dog, give a dog a bone with more meat. And and you have other things to replace screens with, suddenly they're just not as exciting. So we limit and replace. We were pretty low tech family for a lot of our children's childhood. And one Christmas, their grandfather gave them a PlayStation. At the time, it was a PlayStation 4. That was the newest one. Yeah, we didn't know it was coming, and so the kids opened it up, and the boys are like, and they thought it was the best thing in the
We thought
world.
it was fun too.
We did like playing it, but it became such a dominant
Yeah.
presence that it was like, all right, this isn't healthy. This was literally like,
Yeah.
can I play it? Can I play it? Can I play it?
All
Can
the
I play it?
time.
Can I play it? Can I play it? And that was like all we could think
And then
about.
they would kind of like get competitive with one another, and they would squabble a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of was
So we sold the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And our children cried. They begged us not to. We felt like we won the award for the worst parents of the year with that decision. And you question yourself, like, are we crazy? Are we weird for not having like this in our home and thinking this way when the majority of people don't think this way? And so with screens, I think you have to be okay saying some hard things, making some hard decisions, and even doing some unconventional things like that. That went so well for us. It took a little bit at the beginning for our kids to kind of warm up to that. We gave them the money from the sold PlayStation so they could, you replace it with something different. But we also removed our television from our living room. For this wasn't forever. I don't know. It was a couple years.
Yeah, at least a couple years.
When we put it in a closet, just kind of on a movable
Like on a roller
thingy. I don't know. Whatever. It made it easier to
They
move.
sell like cool TV stands now. Did you know that? Like movable.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's like a design trend right now. I was just reading about.
And it is interesting, when you don't have a TV that's there, that's easy to watch something, you do other things. And
It's not just default turn on.
and
TV.
we found we didn't miss television.
Nope.
We would still pull it out for like special occasions, or like if I wanted to watch a football game, or
I remember we watched The Jungle Book. We like
as a
pull it out and watch
kids,
The Jungle
and they were
Book.
like,
Yeah, I like took a picture of them watching it because I was like, whoa.
we're watching it. Now we have a TV now.
Yeah.
It's a frame TV, so it looks like artwork.
Yeah.
And it's got a password protection on it. So our kids can't just go and turn on.
Well, because every TV now is a smart TV.
Yeah.
So there's no like old school analog TV anymore. So every TV is a smart TV. And so, the frame TV is wonderful. It's pretty. It's got a frame on it. So, it does look like artwork.
It looks like artwork, yeah. So, and we still limit a lot. In Minnesota, we get 5-6 months of pretty cold weather during the year.
Yeah.
So we'll have a little higher usage of television or video, whatever, during those colder months.
We have a couple shows we watch in the winter.
Mountain Men, go Mountain Men.
We watch James Harriet's All Creatures Great
that's a
and Small.
fantastic
It's
show for your family.
darling.
If
It's so
you have
cute.
not watched it's the newest one that's coming out. All Creatures Great and Small is wonderful. One of the ones we watched.
Yep.
Anyways, there's some stuff like that. And then during the warm months in Minnesota, it's pretty rare that we're watching much on
It's
a screen.
rarely on.
We're outside a lot, and the kids just know at this point that's just kind of the norm for our family, and that's been good for us. So, all right, Jen, talk about replacing screens and what that's looked like for us.
Well, I mean, what we've just found, kind of like you already said, is that, the more kids are on screens, we just find that they're like moody, they get bored a little bit easier, they just become a little bit more like lethargic, and regular life seems dull. So we've decided that we're going to replace screens with something better. And the main thing is we have encouraged our kids to get outside, and really just get into nature and move. And what you'll find is that a lot of the things that kids are watching on TV, they're watching other kids do stuff outside. They're watching, they're watching other kids do stuff really well. So what you'll find is that our kids are just very imaginative. They create things. They love to go on hikes and pick flowers, and they learn how to shoot things with their guns and have a garden.
One of the best
all sorts of things.
One of the best things is a creek. if you can find if you got a creek, we had some friends over a couple days ago, and our 10-year-old and Finn, they went down. They were outside playing all day, and I was, it's like, what are you guys up to today? It was lunch, and they were like, Finn was like, we found the creek. And he's like, oh, we found all these shells. And they had a blast. It's like, that was so fun.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. So outside, and really, so before we lived in a townhouse for a couple years before we moved a little bit out to the country. And so at that time, our oldest was, I'm trying to think, how old was he? In like 3rd or 4th grade. And I remember we got out to our little house in the country there, not where we are living now. And I said, you guys need to go outside and play. And they like legit didn't know what to do. They were like, what do we even do out here after living in the townhouse with like no place to go, and curated playgrounds for years. So I remember at one point I like locked the screen door.
Just let them go,
and
right?
I was like, you have to stay out there. Well, then they started building forts and they did all sorts of fun things. So just getting your kids out in nature is so wonderful. If you are a family that your kids aren't outside a lot, or you're not outside a lot, there are a number of resources that we would recommend, like the book Last Child in the Woods.
So when
talks about nature deficit disorder. There are some books like the Glow Kids and some of those other books that talk about this balance between being on screens and being outside. But really, I mean, there is nothing better than being in God's creation. And in Minnesota, like Josh said before, we get 5-6 months of not just cold weather. I mean, we get brutally cold weather. And it will be, we go outside and like the high, like last winter, there were a few days for like a week in a row, the high was like -10 degrees, like not +10, like -10. That's the high. And it got, even colder than that. But we're all still outside.
We're outside
every day.
It was like our CEO of Renew Nation, Jeff Keaton, and I were speaking in northern Minnesota one winter. It was like in January.
A couple years ago,
yeah. And we had like a brutally cold stretch. It was like 60 below with wind chill. Cold. Like air temperature was like 25 below or so. I don't know. It was like, it's the kind where it just really hurts to walk outside.
The air hurts your face.
And it was snowing. Like, I think we got like 6 inches of snow. And Jeff and I were coming back from northern Minnesota where we were speaking, and he was dropping me off at home. And he pulls into our driveway. It's like 60 below wind chill, like a blizzard outside. And all 5 of our kids were outside sledding we had a little hill in our house. And Jeff was like, What is that?
Why are they out
your
there?
kids are outside. Like I didn't even think twice about it. It's just normal. We just go outside regularly, and they just bundle up, and sometimes even start a bonfire on the side of the hill where you go sledding. Like that's normal for us. And yeah, it was funny. Jeff still talks about that.
Those Mulvihill kids, they come in sweaty. Because if you have the right winter clothes on and, you're out there in the extreme cold, they'll come in sweaty. Now, we like to say at the end of the day, success is when your kids are dirty, bloody, sweaty, and tired. That's the perfect combination.
Not too bloody, just a little bloody.
Just a little bloody. That means that...
We don't want doctor bloody,
no stitches.
Band-Aid bloody's fine.
Yeah, like a little Band-Aid or a scrape. That's a story to tell.
Yeah.
That shows that they were like exerting some initiative, a little bit of, pushing the boundaries. And so that's good. So that's fun. Dirty, bloody, sweaty, tired.
Yep.
From being outside, which is always good. And the other thing that we have really relished is replacing screens with books. A lot of times, I'm not going to say a lot of times. Every single time. You heard it here first. The book is better than the movie. It's always better. The book is always better.
Is that true for Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm holding firm. Yes.
Okay. All right.
The book is what led to the movie.
That's true.
The book standing the test of time for all of those years is why we even have the movie.
All right.
And how many terrible movies did they make of The Lord of the Rings before they got to that one version that we watched?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I'm going to hold true. But the book is always better. So what we have found is that our family just finds so much joy and encouragement, togetherness by reading books, by reading the great books, whether that's books that we read individually or books that we read out loud. But really, just the time spent together, books become the language of our home. And so we tend to say the same sayings and we just love the same stories, and books really do come alive. And so if you find the right books, they will engage your children as much or more than any movie or TV show or anything like that. They will.
So you, like in the evening when you're typically want to sit down and turn on a show, grab a book, a really good one, and read a couple chapters.
Yeah, Josh reads aloud at night. I'll read aloud during the day. But yeah, so we've read together as a family so many good books. We've read out loud all the Wing Feather Saga books by Andrew. You read that whole series
twice,
2 times. Yeah. That's a commitment. We've read all of Narnia. We've read all the Little House books. We've read a bunch of Roald Dahl books, which are hilarious. We've read,
a ton
of books. It just becomes the language of your home. What's funny is our oldest son, when he brought home his current girlfriend, his only girlfriend, for the first time, the barrage was, have you read this book? Have you read this book? Have you read this book? And she was like, no, I haven't read each of those. Oh, but she went home with the stack. Last night, we were chatting, and one of the kids asked her, like, a follow-up, have you read that book yet? And she was like, actually, yes, I have. So it was good. All the books. The books are a major source of entertainment.
They're good.
Our family. No need for screens.
Yeah, so replace screens, outdoors, and books. Those are fantastic replacements.
It's good stuff.
Let's take a break to thank Renew Nation, the sponsor of this podcast. If you've benefited from the Gospel Shaped Family Podcast, consider making a tax-deductible donation to Renew Nation today. Your generous donations make this podcast and our work to help children develop a biblical worldview possible. If you've enjoyed the episode, you can support us by leaving a review. This helps the podcast grow and reach more families. Now back to the show.
All right, now it's time for a segment.
What is it?
That I like to call Stump Dr. Josh.
Oh boy.
Stump Dr. Josh, it's time.
All right, I'm ready. I don't know what to expect here.
Okay, so since we're talking about media and screen, this is a 2-part question.
Okay, all right.
2 parts. Okay, number 1, 2 parts. I have to get my notes because I'm prepared here. Okay, so we're going to talk about media platforms, all right? So if you had to guess, what is the most used media platform across all age groups in the United States? So this is a statistic. I have a little chart here that was done by Pew Research, and it breaks age groups into like 0 to 18, 18 to 29, 30 to 49, 50 to 64, 65 plus. What would be the most used media platform across
I don't even know what you mean by media platform.
So,
do I just like make it up?
You could think of like, what is like the most
Are you
used,
thinking like
an
internet,
app,
like social media?
I say app, like a platform, like a place where people consume
like YouTube
media. Yeah, that could be an option. What would be the most
used? Is this like,
you could say,
is this social media?
Yeah, you could include social media.
I have no clue. This is literally.
I'm going to give you 5 options.
That's helpful. Yeah, because I have no clue.
I'll read the chart.
Okay.
You can figure out which one you want. Okay. So it could be X, Snapchat.
Okay.
YouTube.
I was getting along the right lines then.
Yeah. Facebook or Instagram.
I'm going to go YouTube.
Ding, 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 ding.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah. So amongst the age groups, 93% of ages 18 to 29 use YouTube. 94% of ages 30 to 49. 86% of people ages 50 to 64. And get this, 65% of people ages 65 plus use YouTube.
Wow.
I never would have guessed that.
No.
that like the older crowd uses YouTube.
Like the normal TV we had growing up is dead. It is dead. Live. I was just saying, we were just talking.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as live TV anymore. Like
No.
sporting events, but other than that, like, you know, that's YouTube. It's all you need.
Yeah, it says roughly 3/4 of teens visit YouTube daily.
Daily. Wow.
3/4 of teens, roughly half of teens say they go on Instagram and Snapchat every day, including about 1 in 10 who say they use those platforms nearly constantly. That gives me
believe it.
goosebumps. Ugh. Okay, then second part of the question. Josh, can you name the top YouTube account on YouTube with the most number of subscribers? The number one on YouTube with the most number of subscribers.
Well, I will just say who my kids talk about. I'll just say Mr. Beast.
It's Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I've never seen a Mr. Beast video. That's going to be maybe
We just need to go get some Feastables now.
I did buy those.
Oh, did you get the
I did those
Feastables?
for the kids because they were like, it's supposed to be good for you. Yeah, right. But anyways, okay. So Mr. Beast has 430 million
That's
subscribers, and his videos have 93.97 billion views.
That's a lot.
So the YouTube is a thing. The interesting thing is that the number two YouTube top is a foreign group, but number 3, this is fascinating to me. The number 3 page on YouTube has 197 million subscribers, and they are a page called Cocomelon, and they do little like nursery rhymes and sing songs for kids. I looked at it for this in preparation. I'm gonna say adorable. It's very cute. I don't know a lot about it, but really, if you look at the top 10, I'm looking at them on my phone, a number of these are geared at little children. And so it makes sense then that parents, you know, if you look at the statistic of the parent age, what would it be, 18 to 29 or even 30 to 49, that 94% of parents
They're turning that on for their kids.
They're turning it on for their kids
to watch.
But yeah, because like the average 3-year-old is not going to account for 197 million subscribers to Cocomelon.
Well, we turned on YouTube last night. We had that. We turned on mariachi music for 2 hours through YouTube.
If you looked at my YouTube,
well, we had our fiesta night last night. That was great.
Party, and I turned on this like YouTube mariachi playlist.
It's a
It
great
went for 2 hours.
So,
It was
man,
a 10
what
over
a great
10.
use of media. That was glorious. Everybody was like doing, you know,
I would fit the statistic that I used YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. I didn't even stump you. You got it. YouTube. And
I'm getting
Mr.
lucky
Beast.
here. I'll tell you this. When I was in school, my correct percentage wasn't anything near what we've had so far. I'm sure I'll hit a stretch.
Smart Dr. Josh.
I'm sure I'll hit a stretch or I'll get like all of them wrong for a long time.
I need to come up with harder questions.
I don't know. Maybe.
Stump Dr. Josh, more like, I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out.
All right. Well, let's get back to some things you can do navigating, managing media in your house. Next thing that has been really important with our children is to set some boundaries for media use. Mm-hmm. So I want you to think about yourself as the gatekeeper for what's coming in. And of course, you know, common sense says you wouldn't allow... there was like physical people that wanted to come and speak with your children, harm your children, or even think of a scantily clad woman.
Yeah, no.
You wouldn't let her physically come in your home and sit in your living room, but somehow when it's on a screen, we tend to think, it's not as bad, it's okay. But we want to set boundaries with media usage so that it can be productive, that it can be a positive thing in our home. And boundaries are a lot like fences, and fences are good things. They keep good things in, and they keep bad things out, and protect, prevent. They provide freedom within the protection of the fence. And so, as you guys are thinking about boundaries, one of the things to do with this is simply to monitor your child's behavior, and if they start displaying some really negative kinds of behaviors connected to media usage. We tend to be slow in acting, and I think the encouragement is to take action in that regard to either reduce or remove certain media sources, and that tends to impact kids in a really positive way. We had one of our 5 that I would put in the potentially addictive category with screens. 4 of our 5 were fine with reduced usage.
Yeah,
and
they would miss it. They were like, okay.
They have a screen. We utilize it for whatever reason. They go on to other things. That this one child, it would almost be like compulsive. Like I just need more. Yeah. Almost like addicted to alcohol or some drug or some other things. And of course, there's a lot of studies that show how addictive screen usage is and how it does. It's a dopamine hit, just like some of those addictive kinds of things, and that's purposeful, of course. And so for this one child, we couldn't. It's like, can you have just a little bit of alcohol for an addict? No, you can't. Mm-hmm. And that was what we learned with this one child. So we had to make some pretty drastic decisions in our home for boundaries and reducing usage, and it impacted the whole family in order to help this child. And so as that child has gotten older, obviously self-control has increased, and responsibility has increased, and awareness, and screen usage has become more common. So that has changed. But for a season, we just literally had to remove things, and that was a good choice. And we literally saw the behavior change, and we saw the behavior connected to screen usage.
Yeah. And I would encourage any family who sees like behavior in their kids that it could be related to screens, whether it be, they're always going down to the basement or, wherever your screens are set up, or it's just like a general sense of a lack of transparency from your kids or whatever it might be. Don't be afraid just to cut it out. Just don't be afraid to say, we're going to take a break from the video games. We're going to take a break from the iPad. We're going to take a break.
A little detox time.
We're just going to detox and see if there's a marked change in your child's behavior, even if it's just a change in their concentration, a change in their need for focus. I would say when in doubt,
cut it out.
Yeah, when in doubt, cut it out, right? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take that step.
Yeah, when our kids were little, we had specific URLs that they could go visit on the internet, and literally everything else was they couldn't go to. It was blocked. So it would be like, you can go to a sports website. You can go, there's just
Answers in Genesis.
Or,
they loved
things like that, where it was like, all right, here's a half dozen or 10 different sites you can go to. Everything else is, and then as they've gotten older, of course, that's grown. The encouragement, of course, with kids, do not give children unmonitored, unrestricted access to the internet. Mm-hmm. They're guaranteed they're going to come across stuff. It doesn't take long anymore. As a pastor, I can tell you, I have done so much counseling with families with children of 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th graders that have been not just exposed to, but addicted to porn. And moms would say, I had one family where the child's behavior changed drastically within a couple-week period, and the parents didn't know why. Mm-hmm. Well, it took them a little while, but they traced it back as they were looking on the child's iPad, and literally every second the child wasn't busy with school or eating or homework or other things, they were on the internet looking at pornography as a 4th grader. Oh. Like, you can see it in the search history. And, the parents, it was their oldest, they're a little bit, they weren't aware of they didn't think you ever think my sweet little 8, 9, 10-year-old is going to get wrapped up in this stuff, and they're never usually the ones going looking for it. It just finds them because of the world that we live in today. And so if porn enters the picture with your family, take very decisive action to cut off access. So do not continue to give a path to pornographic opportunities for children. And they come in there's a lot of different paths today. Like you were looking at Spotify
has a whole video section on there. I mean, just
a lot of your gaming systems.
Even like Instagram content can be.
You can get a lot. So it just takes a lot of vigilance. It takes a few extra steps, and it's worth locking that stuff down because we know how much damage morally, spiritually that creates in a person. So fight it with everything you got. It is worth putting those kinds of boundaries and protections in your home. Internet filters, accountability tools, those kinds of things help children succeed. We used Circle for a long time.
Yeah, we did use Circle for a long time.
We don't currently, because our kids, they've gotten older now at this point.
We use Apple.
We use that.
Apple has parental controls you can do through screen time. So we utilize that. Where all of our devices are Apple, with the exception of our television. But we have full parental controls and monitoring, and Apple does a great job with that.
Yeah, they actually do.
The next thing that we would recommend is just to monitor the messages that are coming in. So the media that your children are consuming needs to be media that you are consuming also. So whether it's a TV show or a song that they want to download or purchase or listen to, even if it's a book they want to read, we would recommend that you know what messages are coming in. There's a couple of different websites you can use. If you don't have the bandwidth to read the 300-page book, I'm going to use book as the example because I think that people sometimes think that, every book is great and it's in the library. No, that's not the case. There's a lot of trash out there in books too. So you can use Plugged In. There's a really great website called Plugged In that you can use. That's a Christian resource. You could use Common Sense Media. Common Sense Media is not a Christian resource, but they provide feedback on, I want to say it's 10 different categories for every TV show and movie and book. They do that for music also. And so just take the time. It doesn't take that much time to just know what your kids are ingesting. So, even, hey, I want to, we play the music that our kids are wanting to purchase and listen to. We play it and we listen to it. And so just that encouragement that you can do that. It does not need to be an all-consuming task to stay on top of what the kids are bringing in, but really it's a gift to them. It's a gift to them that they can know that, this is great, and my mom and dad have great taste, and so, this was so good, and mom said it was going to be good, and dad loved this one. And so just that encouragement to just know what they're bringing in.
If your kids are there digitally, you need to be there with them as well.
Yep.
That's kind of the good principle.
Yep.
And then last, our encouragement to you is to delay giving children devices until they are truly needed. This is going to cut across the culture and across probably what a lot of families do in most of our worlds. But we'll tell you what we've done with our kids, whether you do that or not, up to you.
Yep.
In our family, we don't allow our children to get a cell phone until they have gotten their driver's license. So it's like a double milestone for our children. I figure if they can drive a 2,000-pound piece of steel hurtling down the highway at 60 miles,
and pass the test to be able to do that,
then they're at a point where they can handle a cell phone. And so we just had our second that got their driver's license. So we now have 2 of our 5 kids with cell phones. The youngest 3 do not. So with our family, then we've gotten a iPad that is a family iPad. It only stays in our living room and kitchen, and they can text their friends from that. They can do some kind of things on, they can check sports,
weather, they love
play fantasy. They have their fantasy football team on there, and all kind of stuff like that, check their weather. It gives them access to do that, but without their own phone. They can FaceTime people from there and, all that stuff. We don't allow social media at all until they turn 18. And then it's their choice at that point if they would like to join social media. Yeah. So our oldest is just joined Instagram, not 6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And the rest of ours are not on. Social media puts a lot of pressure on young people.
Yeah.
From self-image kinds of stuff to just the kinds of people that from a safety standpoint who have access to children online. And so we've just limited that. We want, you have a digital footprint, and we talk about this with our kids. Yeah. Anything you do online will follow you for the rest of your life, and it will impact you as as we have jobs and other things. And so there's a lot of stuff we did, all of us, when we were younger that we regret. And it's so easy for a child to do stuff on social media that, that could have some ramifications. One of the reasons why we keep them off. And we just want our kids, we don't want our kids to spend their life with their head down, looking at a phone, communicating through that message, living vicariously through a screen. And so limiting that, delaying that, it forces them to communicate in other ways. It forces them to use their time in better ways. It forces them to do other things. And, we've had there's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of trial and error with figuring this out for us. We tried iPods earlier, and that didn't work at all for early teen years.
They don't even make the iPod anymore.
Not anymore. That's an old school deal. But
I will say, especially for the girls have kind of kindled some fun, really beautiful communication habits because they don't have phones. So they write letters to their friends. They both have learned to do just beautiful calligraphy, and they love that.
And we actually have an old school landline.
We do have an old school landline.
That they talk on the phone.
They memorize people's phone numbers and they call people on the phone. And so our girls, they both have really tight circles of girlfriends, and they still, even though they see their friends multiple times a week, they still send letters. And so they love to get the mail, and they know there's going to be something fun in there. So there are some really good things that can come out of, just like we said before, but just fostering creativity and deep relationships with others that don't involve a cell phone. And I would even go on a ledge and say the act of fostering a relationship for a young person with a friend when they don't have a cell phone gives a better opportunity for deeper friendships.
Yeah. Good.
You have to put some effort in, and so does the other kid.
Good.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, we hope that was some really practical stuff.
That's about it for today.
We could talk a long time.
We could talk forever.
More greater depth. We'll probably come back to this topic many times in the future, but I think that does it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Gospel Shape Family Podcast. Please share this episode and give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts.